In the middle of a large field stood a huge stone, resembling a cliff. And on this stone lived, or rather grew, a lonely cornflower bluebottle. When spring came, the grass colored the field green, the days became longer and warmer, and the bluebottle, rejoicing in spring, bloomed and continued to bloom until late autumn. June came, and the bluebottle turned a year older than last summer. Its stem became stronger and straighter, and its violet flowers, gathered in a basket shape, could be the most desired decoration for any girl. His life seemed beautiful, but he was very lonely. He had no friends, not because he was bad, but because the stone on which he grew was so high that no one could climb it and grow next to the bluebottle. At the bottom, in the meadow, among the green grass, many beautiful flowers grew. They all befriended each other and played different games. The bluebottle especially liked the game, Catch the Butterfly, when the flowers tried to attract butterflies by showing off their bright colors and sweet scents. The flowers earned points for each butterfly they attracted, and the flower that scored the most points won. The bluebottle watched them from above and so wanted to join them. He so wanted to have friends. The flowers in the meadow saw the bluebottle. But he was so far away from them that they all thought he was very small and therefore not interesting to anyone. The bluebottle was kind, so he didn't get upset with them. From the height of his rock, he watched them and imagined as if he was playing with the flowers in the meadow. Down there, next to his stone, lay another smaller stone. And one day the bluebottle noticed that right next to this stone, a young shoot was sprouting, which no one except the bluebottle had seen. The bluebottle eagerly and hopefully watched this budding beauty. Soon the young shoot strengthened and began to climb the stone. The bluebottle couldn't wait for the young shoot to become an adult. He dreamed of them becoming friends and playing different games. The bluebottle thought that they might have the same fate. They were both once little seeds, brought up to the height by the wind, and both doomed to loneliness. The bluebottle didn't know how he ended up on such a high stone. He thought that maybe it wasn't the wind that brought him here at all. Perhaps a bird brought him here. Maybe a bird was building a nest, tore off the stem on which he was growing from his mother, and flew to its future nest. And when she flew over the stone, carrying the stem in her beak, I detached from the stem and fell down. Thinking like this, the bluebottle continued to watch as the thin and weak stem of the young shoot grew bigger and stronger. And here, in the middle of June, the first white delicate flower appeared. The bluebottle froze with joy. It's a girl, he thought. I'll call her Daisy. He watched with great interest as she grew, as her thin white petals became larger, taking on a wide adult shape, and the yellow discs in the middle of her flower grew wider, emphasizing her beauty and maturity. Daisy grew up completely and adorned herself with many white flowers that emitted a fragrant apple aroma. The bluebottle admired his magnificent neighbor, but he also saw that she, like him, was very lonely. He wanted to suggest to her to play together, but he was shy. But one day, Daisy raised her delicate flowers to him and said, "Let's play together." "Let's do it," the bluebottle rejoiced. "I like the game, Catch the Butterfly, the most." "And you?" "And me," replied Daisy. "And I also like to play with balloons. We'll blow up small balloons made of our petals and see who can hold them in the air longer so they don't fall to the ground." That's how they became friends and fell in love with each other. And soon they forgot that they had once been lonely. As it turned out, those doomed to loneliness can find love and be happy. So they both grew, the bluebottle day and night admiring her beauty and enjoying her scent, and she, reveling in his genuine and constant attention and his love. Once, As always, the bluebottle admired his daisy, looking at her from above and marveling at her delicate petals, which she entrusted to the caress of the sun's rays. And suddenly he felt anxious. He looked up at the sky, listened to the noise of the forest, and despite everything being calm, the anxiety didn't leave him. And soon he understood the reason for this. His old acquaintance, a young deer, was slowly approaching, tearing off leaves and grass as he went and constantly chewing them. The young deer, like the bluebottle, was 2 years old now. He already had antlers. They were still small, without branches, and very funny. The bluebottle always watched with curiosity as the young deer ate grass, leaves, tree shoots, mushrooms, and even lichens. Once, the bluebottle even saw him eating bitter wormwood growing between the trees. It was interesting then. But now, the bluebottle suddenly realized that the young deer represented a mortal danger. Not for him, he grew too high, and the deer couldn't reach him. But those who grew below, upon seeing the deer, froze in fear. The bluebottle, too, was afraid for the life of the one he loved with all his bluebottle heart. The bluebottle began to bend strongly and rustle his leaves, hoping to scare the deer away with his rustling. But the deer paid no attention to the rustling. He was slowly heading towards the middle of the clearing, bending his head and eating grass and flowers on his way. Out of fear, the bluebottle felt as though the deer could eat all the flowers in the whole wide world, including his beloved daisy. The young deer was slowly approaching the stone. And there he stood right in front of Daisy. How magnificent she was! Slender! Juicy! She couldn't go unnoticed. And therefore, could not go uneaten. The deer looked at her. And the bluebottle watched the deer in horror. He no longer thought about the other flowers that spread like a sea below. The young deer approached her closer and sniffed the air with his nose. Daisy swayed and leaned towards the deer. Disaster, thought the bluebottle. The deer will ruin my love, I must fight for her. But I am so small, lonely, and weak. What can I do? How can I save my only one? Thoughts rushed one after another, and his heart skipped a beat from fear for his beloved. Another moment, and she, his only friend, his beloved, would be in the jaws of this. Let him eat me. I will throw myself into his voracious mouth, and let him satiate himself with me, but she will remain alive. Thought the bluebottle. He wanted to stir his roots, deeply embedded between the rocks, but they didn't budge. The bluebottle didn't give up and pulled, bending his stem to the right and then to the left, again and again. But nothing worked. The bluebottle looked around and suddenly realized what such a small and weak one could do to save his beloved. There were many small stones around the bluebottle. They occasionally fell from the very top of his rock. And one of them pressed the bluebottle's stem against the rock. Before, the bluebottle didn't pay attention to it. But now, the stone lay on the edge of the cliff, and the bluebottle began desperately to sway his stem. The wind passed by and, seeing the bluebottle's efforts, decided to help him. A light breeze helped the bluebottle push this stone down. In one moment, the stone slipped from the ledge and fell down with a crash, hitting and dragging other stones in its path. The noise of the falling stones reminded the young deer of his recent encounter with hunters. The young deer recoiled and, with powerful zigzag jumps, rushed towards the forest. The bluebottle watched the young deer for a long time, wanting to make sure of Daisy's safety. Bravo! Echoed across the meadow below, and the bluebottle saw all the wildflowers applauding him with their petals. But his gaze didn't linger long on the meadow. His gaze slid up the neighboring stone and stopped at his beloved. She, his Daisy, spread all her petals towards him, expressing her gratitude, delight, and love for her savior. Flowers usually don't speak, but when you love them, your heart hears their enchanting voices even when the jubilation of all flowers, trees, and all living things drowns out all sounds on earth. Thank you, my beloved. You are my hero. You are the bravest bluebottle on earth. You are the best. I have loved you ever since I was a little sprout. I grew under your watchful eye and warmed by your love. I am so happy that you are always nearby. I am grateful to you for myself and for everyone else. I love you. And I will always love you with every petal of mine. The bluebottle, at such words, immediately turned red from purple. Daisy noticed this and said, "You are beautiful in any color.